Back at square one. We are live right now. We are going to do our countdown. Nice. Welcome in, everybody. This is People Helping People, and I am excited for today's show. Hello, hello. We're going to get a little bit of intro music going here while we get things started out. Cool. And I had to switch up the intro music because we got demonetized.
Oh.
I don't know if that was from the soundboard or what, but Facebook don't like us. I'm just going to make sure while this music runs that we are live on Instagram, we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. Holy smokes, back in the saddle and it feels good. I don't see us live on Instagram, so let's just grab that real quick. All right, no big deal. Perfect. Holy smokes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to People Helping People. Woo! Gosh, it feels good to be back. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, so much has happened recently. We obviously have not been doing the show, but we've been collecting guests. We've been collecting people to have on the show. We've been consolidating 2 3-bedroom houses. My girlfriend has been moving in, and we are converting our garage into a full-fledged art studio for her to be able to flourish and create and do everything that she does the greatest. So yeah, and then we traveled to Denver. We went and saw a show out there, the Purple Disco. So we got our funk on. It was super fun and funky. And I am really, really excited for today's show for multiple reasons. Not only to let you guys know about the guests that we have coming up, which include some artists, sculptors, we have some business owners, we have some models, we have some musicians, some artists as well. So, I mean, just an eclectic group of people that are going to come on, share some wisdom with us, give us a little bit of insight of what it looks like to be those people, what it looks like to start those endeavors, what it looks like to put yourself in a position to succeed, and also the strife and trials and tribulations that maybe these people go through. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff, and I am happy to be here. But if you haven't noticed, I have a guest sitting in today. My brother, my friend, and also an incredible business owner here in the Tucson area, but also does things nationally. I mean, he's creating something that is very special, and I've had the pleasure of seeing him along his journey from the idea, the conception, up to where he's at today, and I'm super proud of him. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Benjamin of Penny and Benny. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you very much for having me today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Excited to be here. Always, a little nervous, but I'm always nervous lately. I'm anxious about everything. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's have some fun.
Yes, sir. Yeah. As is business, right? That it kind of feels like that, always on your toes and thinking about the next step. And it's, people think that maybe owning a business is about comfort. And that's tough to say that that's the case. Yeah.
I mean, I think we envision this place of comfort when we want to become an entrepreneur. There are a lot of benefits, but there's also not very much comfort. That's the reality of it. When you shine, it's on you, and when you make a step back or a mistake, it's on you.
Yes.
And that's just the way it is. You got to be able to take ownership on that.
For sure. Yeah. A lot easier said than done. But today we are rocking some of your merch.
Yeah, I made this. Amazing.
Yeah. Give yourself some grace. These are so dope. I love the message, the quality, everything about what you are encompassing as a brand, which I think is super exciting and it's meaningful. And I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. I want to unpack, give yourself grace.
Okay.
I want to unpack the Penny and Benny LLC because, again, you started a merchant. So would it be considered a merchandise company, or what do you call Penny and Benny LLC?
Sometimes I say I'm a graphic designer, which means that I make images and then I transfer them onto shirts. So, I mean, it's you can call it, in the old days, it was called a screen printer. But, this new technology is not screen printing. So you can call me a t-shirt maker. You can call me a designer. You can call me custom clothes maker.
Yeah.
You can even call me a tailor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. So, man of many hats.
Yeah, that's the way it's always been in my house.
Right. So, I think that I want to get to know you a little bit better, man. I mean, your journey to come to the point of creating the business of Penny and Benny LLC. And obviously there's so much to unpack, but if you could kind of walk me through who you are and, maybe some of the big pivots that you had and moments in your life where you had to shift your focus, and you started multiple businesses as well. So I kind of want to sit down and give people a little behind the curtains look at who Benjamin is, who Penny is, and how this all came to fruition.
Okay. Let's see if I can pick a good starting point. Yeah, I've owned a few businesses. One of them was early on. My very first business that I ever owned was an automobile detailing shop, and that lasted about 6 months. I spent all of my savings paying rent and learning the hard way that there's multiple facets that I didn't really know about going into the industry. But I tried for as long as I could, toughed it out until I couldn't pay my bills anymore. So then I had to wrap that one up and shifted gears. My friend got me a job cleaning carpets. I did that for about a year before I realized that it would be better if I did it for myself. I would make, instead of making 30%, I would make 100%, but then I would have 100% of the problems as well that came along. But I did that, and I did that for 7 years. And it was great until 2007, 2008, when the recession boom happened. And me and my old lady split up, and, it was just one big waterfall after another. So at that point in time, I took some time off, and I ended up making the decision to go back to school,
Wow.
which was a huge undertaking, because the reality is I was a high school dropout. And, at the age of 15, when I quit school, I never thought in a million years that I would go back and try to do something, but I ended up getting my GED, and that took about 6 months. And then I was like, okay, I can do this. And so I got my associate's degree.
At what age?
I was 27 when
Nice.
27, 28, 20, yeah, 28, 27, 28 when I got my GED, and I started that path again.
Nice.
And it took me 3 years to get the 2-year degree, because I was working full time. I was parenting full time, and I was volunteer coaching my daughter's softball team at the same time. And yeah, so I got my associates, and then as soon as that was done, I was like, maybe I can do this. I realized that with an associate's degree, there's not a lot of job opportunities, but there are some more, doors open. And at that point, I knew right away that I had to go and get my bachelor's degree. And so I did that. And that took me about 2.5, 3 years.
Well done.
Thank you very much. And I was envious of the traditional students. When we think about college lifestyle and what that looks like in your head, it might be like you surrounded by a bunch of your, peers that are the same age, partying and going to sporting events, or, studying at the library together. But when I got to campus, I was the old guy. I was like 10 years older than all the other guys. And it was fun, but definitely different than what I anticipated. But obviously I wasn't there to, celebrate. I was there to get my classes done. And, I had a bigger plan. I was looking after my future and the future of my daughters. I wanted to show them that it is possible, that it can be done. And hopefully that, it'll have an impact on them. And I think it did.
Yeah.
But
there's
more.
Yeah, for sure. So after 27 years, 28 years, you decided to go back to college, which is, I think, a really daunting thing for a lot of people. And what was the end goal for going back to college? Like, what inspired you to do something like, I mean, obviously you said for your kids to show them that, it's never too late and that nothing is impossible. Right. I mean, that's such a big message, especially for a child to be looking at their father and somebody that they look up to and love and know and care for, to embark on those endeavors. And they may not know at the time, but those things resurface later in life. And I think that's a really commendable thing. And there's a lot of people in the world that are considering doing something like that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give you your flowers on that, because that's really cool. And I know that will stick with your children and the people listening as well.
Yeah. And for me as well, I was what we call a first generation college student in my family. And so obviously, like, I wanted to break that cycle of, uneducated, labor type lifestyle. And so I did. But I wasn't satisfied, and I ended up continuing my education, and I got a master's degree. And I did that in part because of the goal that I had in the time. So during my daughter's childhood, she played softball, and I coached her in softball, and there was a path there for me. I ended up coaching for the last 15 years, basically. And I coached her in Little League, in travel ball. And then I coached in high school. And then I also coached at college level. And somewhere in like 2012, so I was 31, I had the opportunity to be a volunteer assistant at a NAIA school in Oregon. It's called Eastern Oregon University, and right now they're at the World Series. I just want you to know that. Wow. Like, top 4. They play tomorrow.
Round of applause for that. That's cool.
Yeah, I want to give props. I want to give props to my alma mater, my alum.
Yes.
Let's see. So anyways, so I got the opportunity to be an assistant coach with that university, and I fell in love with it. But I also thought to myself, like, if the head coach, if he can do it, I can do it. And so, but what I needed was that master's degree. You can't be a head coach at a university without a master's degree. And so that really inspired my path. And then I did it.
Nice.
But after I did that, after I graduated, I was petrified. I had paralysis. I didn't want to fill out an application anywhere because I was scared to fail. I was scared to be rejected. But eventually I sent out like 100 emails, and I ended up taking a job in North Dakota as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
And that led me into being a head coach at a different school the next few years. And
yeah.
So does that answer your?
No, that's awesome,
Okay.
man. Yeah. So it was a leap of faith, and it sounds like there's, in anybody's life, there's so many ebbs and flows, highs and lows, and paths that you can take. But I think, again, it's very commendable that at 20, your adulthood to say, you know what, there's something more for me, finding a niche. And was finding that niche kind of on a whim, or is that something that you always enjoyed, like the coaching aspect or the playing games, or how did you end up there?
Yeah, good question. That path to kind of just fell in my lap. Like, I always enjoyed diamond sports, baseball in particular. I grew up playing baseball. It was my escape, my home away from home, during that 1 or 2 or 3 hours while you're playing the game or practicing, you don't have any other issues except for, you're at bat or you're throwing the ball or you're running the bases, and so I always found a nice, comfortable place on the diamond. And, I really fell in love with the pace of softball compared to baseball. And so and plus I have 2 daughters. And so, it was really easy for me to want to be around her and those kids, and for me to be able to make a positive impact on that set of, kids that I had. And I've coached, hundreds and sometimes probably thousands of kids at this point in time, that I feel like I've made a positive impact on. But yeah, when I haven't thought about this in a long time, but yeah, initially when I went back to college or back to school, I wanted to become a state policeman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I did a ride along with the stater, and I was like, no way, this guy is not doing this. And so I switched gears, and I ended up switching gears. I think I changed my degree 3 different times. I went from wanting to be a stater to wanting to be in business. And then, which is funny now that I say that, and then social work. And all 3 of those, I was just like, no. But, the nice thing about college, at least in my mind, it's a time of experimentation. And I spent, 3 to 6 months on each of those subjects, really kind of diving in and getting my hands wet and really, figuring out, is this the path for me? And during all of my college career as a student, I was always active in softball. And so once I realized that I can weave all of those together, I was like, yeah, I can do this. I want to do that. And it was such a scary road because, most college coaches played college ball, right? And I was a high school dropout. I never had a single career at bat in high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me as a male going into the women's sport, it was an uphill battle. And part of that was just my own mental insecurities and my path, but once I put myself out there and overcame those obstacles, some of them which were real and some of them, which were just, self-inflicted, I was able to pursue that and get it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. So now you did the coaching for 15 years,
Yeah.
which turns into, it sounds like from the beginning, there was a little bit of, maybe questioning what direction or path you're going to take, but you tried different things in order to find something that you fell in love with.
Yeah.
And then you got into that path and you found something that was, I feel like I need to, yeah, you want to grab them real quick? Sorry. The dogs are trying to get in through the doggy door and we gotta fix that real quick. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry guys, we're live right now and trying to fix the dogs running in and out the doggy door because we got this whole studio set up right now at the house. So this is what it is. Sometimes we have perfect, flawless streams with no interruptions, and then sometimes you got little Penny, and we got 3 dogs at the house now. So sometimes they're running around doing the thing. Welcome back. Yeah. So now take me through the pivot, because I've seen what you have done. Actually, you know what? Let's introduce our friend here.
Oh, okay. This is Pendleton. Pendleton is my wiener dog, and he's part Dachshund and half giraffe. And he is my best friend. And I call him Penny, hence the Penny and Benny. Penny came from the town that I was living in for the last 3 years before I moved back to Tucson, a little town called Pendleton. And I named him because I wanted something that was really great to come out of that experience.
Very nice.
So I call him Penny.
Nice.
AKA Pendleton.
Yeah, he's a great pup.
He really is.
Yeah. So 15 years of coaching.
Yeah.
In 2 different states or more than that.
Way more than that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay. And then tell me about the transition, because We're now in Tucson, Arizona. You have a business. It's thriving in its own way. It's finding its ground. It's starting to build momentum. And it's only been a short period of time. Tell me about the transition from coming here, doing what you were doing prior to starting a t-shirt and merchandise business of Penny and Benny LLC.
The transition.
Yeah.
It's a lot for me to reflect on because it's a lot of it's happened relatively rapid. But at the same time, one day at a time. So the transition for me has, it's been really exciting at times. It's been really great. But when I left my last job, I was burnt out. I was the head coach at this school for 3 years without an assistant coach. And if anybody out there knows what that's like, it's an incredible task to be able to handle and to be successful. So when I got here, I haven't really touched a softball for like 11 months. You know what I mean? I just put it down and walked away. And I've been like gathering my wits about me essentially. Just because I needed that break. I needed some time away from the sport. And I needed to be able to reflect and make sure that it's still what I want to do as I go forward. And I'm confident in, thank you. Yeah. I'm confident right now to say that I'd love to get back into it. However, there's not a lot of money in that industry, at least at the junior college level that I was at. And so I need to make sure that I have a good source of income, hence this business, in order for me to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
Unless I work my way up into, like the Division II or even Division III, or, maybe even the Division I level. There is some money, not a lot, but there is some.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of my security blanket. I want to get this established, up and running, before I can really commit myself. Penny, down. Stay.
We got little Penny over here trying to be a part of the stream.
Yeah,
he's bouncing around, just wants some love.
He just wants me to hold him. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Obviously 15 years, that's longer than every single one of my relationships. So I love the game. I'm married to the game. And I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to not do anything right now, but
sure.
I have to have some time to reflect.
Yeah.
And grow. And I think I've been able to do that since being here in Tucson.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. So you essentially, if anybody out there is looking at starting a brand of any kind, like starting a t-shirt brand or whatever it may be, pressing or things like that, like what are some of the tools that you had to come up with? Maybe it was financially or emotionally or whatever, some of the tools that you had to put into the toolbox to make something like that happen.
Okay.
And while you answer that, I'm going to put the dogs in the side yard.
Okay.
If you don't mind holding it down.
Yeah. Some of the tools that I need to make something like that happen. Well, obviously, like the physical tools, one of them is a computer. It has to be ... smart enough and fast enough to be able to navigate certain like Adobe programs and things of that nature, Photoshop, Procreate, any any computer programs. Right now, there's a lot of formats that you can use on the internet, like stuff like Kittl and Canva. Those are really user-friendly programs to help you navigate that. In addition to the computer, the software, and the hardware. My machine is called a white toner transfer printer. It's basically, it looks like a copier that you would see in an office somewhere, but it spits out transfers that are basically ready to be pressed onto a shirt. It's newer technology. It's only been around for about 5 years, I think. And then with that, you need a heat press, and not all heat presses are made the same. So make sure if you're going to do that, you get a nice one.
Nice. Yeah. And you've become a bit of an expert when it comes to AI. And I come to you now for things that I may need done for people helping people or Wardy's car rentals or whatever it is. And so if people are reaching out to you, what would you say that your lane, the things that you can help them come up with? Like what is the best lane for somebody to, or I guess what lane is best for you to help people in getting either merchandise or whatever? What lane do you specialize in?
That would be like apparel for events, or apparel for your own brand, or apparel for something that you got going on. So that would be like my specialty in essence, me trying to do large quantities. Everybody wants to do large quantities of stuff. I think that's the best way to do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. And I've seen your growth. Like I said, I have to give you your flowers when it comes to somebody who's diligent, taking their time, and a force to be reckoned with. Like you have been nonstop learning how to utilize all these tools that are available to everyone. But for people to take the time is the thing that you can save for other business owners, is time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, whether that be, coming up with logos or things like that, logos or designs,
graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel as though, sorry, these dogs are so distracting right now. It's really tough for me, but they're squealing in the backyard. But yeah, so if people wanted to reach out to you and they wanted to say, put in an order, what would that look like?
Yeah. Standard phone call, or you can DM me through my Instagram or Facebook. My Facebook is Benjamin Buttons. It's my personal one. On Instagram, it is Penny Benny LLC. And I also have a website right now, which is pennyandbenny.com.
Cool.
But yeah, if somebody wanted to, get that process rolling, what I would hope is that they have an idea of what they want to get printed. A lot of people have drawings. A lot of people have, copy and pasted or, done a screenshot of something that they saw. And then they send that to me and they say, hey, I want this, this, and this. And then what I do is I, spend some time on it, and tie it all together with what they're really looking for, and send it back to them, and
cool.
Go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of sides to the business then. There's people sending you the things that they initially want, whether it be for their business, personal, could be birthdays, bar mitzvahs,
weddings.
Weddings. If you have sporting teams, events, things like that.
Yep.
So you can do anything from one shirt up to however many.
Yeah. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're not stuck in Tucson when it comes to receiving orders, correct?
No, worldwide.
Cool.
Yeah, worldwide. USPS is a partner of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we've done business for a long time.
Nice,
Yeah.
Nice. And then also, like I said, like there's two portions or two sides to this business. Why don't you take me down your personal brand?
Okay, I can do that. So the personal brand is basically called Words of Comfort. And what that means to me is basically it's a mental health awareness. Mental health is wealth type of mentality. Everybody knows that mental health is a thing now. Before we just didn't talk about it as men or as humans, but the reality is more and more people are suffering from disorders, whether it's anxiety or self-esteem ultimately is what it boils down to, and confidence. And so my shirts are basically just like little tidbits. How I think of it is thinking good thoughts out loud. Okay. And these are things that I would say to myself, like, hey man, like you've done pretty good. You need to give yourself grace, because I'm really hard on myself. And I think most of us are, if we have any type of value or worth system, I don't like to put my name on anything that I'm not proud of, if that makes sense. And so, hence, but I'm also hard on myself. And so I'll have this self-talk that isn't, ideal sometimes. And so this is just a simple reminder to, hey, like you've done good. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace. And it forces me to look at it from a different perspective. there's other things that I have that are coming out soon. Things like this, like sometimes you lose. Sometimes you lose, right?
Yeah.
And thanks for that.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's just the reality. Like not everybody is the grand champion, but if the trick is just to get back up, keep going.
Yeah.
Get off the fucking floor.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay, get off the floor. Keep going.
Yeah.
Other things. I'm drawing a blank.
No,
right
you're
now.
good. I mean, while we talk about that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up your website here.
Okay.
Because this is pennyandbenny.com.
Yes.
I'm going to show the people here. Let's see what we can do. Show the people pennyandbenny.com. Here it is. So, yeah, if you go to just pennyandbenny.com, that's PENNYANDBENNY.com, and go to the catalog, you can see some of these products here. And let's walk through it. I like this artsy fartsy t-shirt.
Yeah. It's just supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? Like we take ourselves too seriously sometimes. And I just put that up yesterday. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
It just makes me smile.
Nice. Yeah. We have the Be Your Own Hero hoodies.
Yep.
Nice. And so we've got t-shirts, hoodies. And I have to say, like, I am, as I get older, kind of a stickler for quality.
Yeah,
and that's something that I think
be.
As you get older, you kind of just want to buy things once.
Yeah.
It's not about, I notice that certain brands or whatever, I have to buy the same shirt multiple times because after 20 washes, it's a mess.
Okay.
And whether the threads are coming out or whatever it is, and the fit is really important to me too. So I have, a couple, and I'm not going to say the brand names, but I have a brand of t-shirt that I wear all the time because it works for me.
Right.
It's that double stitched. It's nice. It's thick. It washes well. It doesn't wear out. And your product over time, I've seen you try out different shirts.
Yes. Yeah. One of the first things that I did with my wholesale distributor is I ordered like 30 different shirts, just t-shirts. And I was just like, okay, picked them all up. I looked at the embroidering, look at the seams, look at the stitches, look at, what it feels like, what certain colors actually look like in the light, because again, I put my name on it. I want it to be something that I would want to wear or something that I would want to sell or something that I would want to give away. Something I want to be proud of.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to invest that time and energy doing your research. And for me, I don't have anybody else in the industry that I look up to that I can call and say, hey, well, what kind of t-shirt should I get? Or what kind of hoodie should I get? And what are the things that I'm looking at for when I do make a wholesale order? Everything that I've done has just been, again, on my own trial and error. And so, it's been a lot of joy when you find something really nice.
Yeah.
And then, just recently, an example, I was really content and really satisfied with the hoodies that I've been getting. But I just ordered another style just to see, because I could tell in the images that it, had a little bit thicker this and had a little bit heavier weight anyways. And the zipper was a little bit thicker as well. So long story short is that, I found one that I like that's, comparable in price, and it's just from experience.
Yeah. And that's what it's about, is just throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And I said all of that to say that the quality of your t-shirts, the fit on the shoulders, the actual material itself, the feeling of the shirt, it's top tier. And I wouldn't sit here and give that to anybody if it wasn't the truth. Like I would have no problem wearing this, whether it was stamped or not, on the daily.
Yeah.
And the fact that it does have give yourself grace, which is something that I love to live by as well, and need to remind myself of as well as a fellow business owner, to just breathe and say it's okay sometimes, because it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And any business owner knows how much hair they've lost and how tight their jaw is, from clenching. And it's just like, it is an uphill battle, but it's not for the weak either. And you have to give yourself grace when you do have days like today where I just chilled. I didn't know that I could do it. And I did it. I chilled and it felt great. And to give myself grace and not beat myself up, because there's a million things that I could do right now, is super important. So yeah, I'm going through the website right now. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is Penny and Benny on the show. And then we have an exciting segment. We're going to try something new.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And let's see how this goes. This is going to be fun. We're going to actually take you into the Penny and Benny studio, or I guess you call it the marketplace.
You can call it the studio,
I
the
like
office.
that.
You can call it the den.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into the Penny and Benny den and explain for us what you're going to be doing.
I am going to press a hoodie. I've already primed the transfer. I made a design. I printed it off using my fancy computer and my fancy printer. I heated it up to 300 degrees, and I put paper A to paper B, and I married them, is what it's called. So that's already been done, and I have the hoodie in there with the transfer paper at the right temperature and the right pressure, and we're going to do it for the right amount of time. That I'm going to show you how each one is individually done.
Awesome. Yeah. And before we get to that, I want to make sure that we have good audio and good video of you telling the people how to best get a hold of you. Obviously, you have the website.
Yep.
pennyandbenny.com, PENNY and AND, Benny, BENNY.com.
Yes.
And they can order some of your personal merch there.
Yep.
And if they want to put in an order for their own custom things, or even workshop some ideas with you of some shirts and some logos and stuff like that, how do the people get a hold of you?
Email is going to be Penny and Benny LLC at Gmail. You can also slide in my DM through my Instagram, Benjamin Buttons on Facebook, and my telephone number 520-809-8188. Call me, or you can just send me a text, whatever, with your ideas. That's pretty much how it normally goes. Somebody will send me a text, say, hey, I got this idea. I say, cool, let me play with it for a little bit. How many do you need? What color do you want? And then how soon do you need it?
Nice. And can people bounce back and forth ideas with you? Say that first render may not be what they want?
Yeah, it's kind of expected. At least I'm usually surprised when people say I did it right the first time.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you nailed it. And I'm like, well, what about this?
Yeah.
So usually I'll try to encourage them to make some adjustments that I think can be done.
Very nice.
To improve the overall look.
Very nice. Awesome, man. Well, is there anything before we jump into the studio here that you want to leave with the people before we go?
No, I think, life is good. It's a good life. You know what I mean? And we got to remember that. And that's what this brand is about, is, the people that are out there doing hard things. You hold yourself to a certain standard. And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of myself. But at the same time, you gotta be nice to yourself. We got to say nice things to ourselves. And that reflects on how you treat other people. And I think that's really important at the end of the day.
Beautiful, man. Well, let's get some music going and get you into the studio. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Let me know when we're ready.
All right. So I turned your phone down a bit.
The volume. Should I put my earpiece in?
Nah, you're good. All right. We are working through the kinks. Hopefully got some sound here. And we're trying something new. We'll bring this down. Welcome back, everybody. And we are live in the studio with Penny Benny LLC. He's going to be pressing a shirt for us live, kind of taking us through the process. If you were to put in an order or order off of his website, pennyandbenny.com, he's got his website there, and then also be able to order from him at Penny and Benny LLC on Instagram. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let him take it away and go ahead and give us a rundown of how he's going to be pressing his shirts for you.
Okay. Hello again. So first thing I normally do is run through the computer, the software, and what it does is spits out one of these, transfers, and then this is the finished product. What I do with this is a special kind of paper, and I have to marry these two together at 300 degrees, and then as soon as it's off, I have to peel it, and you have to peel it in a nice even pace. Otherwise, you might have some sort of blemish. And these are about $5 a piece, these little transfer sheets, and I definitely burned through 100. Learning how to do it the right way. So I'm going to show you how I do it the right way. So ultimately, I've already married this one, and I've already placed it, located down the center of the hoodie. This is my heat press. This has different temperatures. I can adjust the temperature here from 300 all the way up to 380, all the way down to like 250. And then there's a pressure gauge, like how much pressure do you want, like how hard do you want the shirt to be pushed on. And then there's the timer as well. And so this thing that we're doing here is just a 10-second timer, 10-second press. But the pressure is high pressure, and the time is 10 seconds only. So we're going to press this for 10 seconds here. Go in 3, 2, 1. For this, I'm just going to count it down, and we're going to peel it. We have to let it cool. There's different types of presses. There's what's called a hot press, where you peel it right away. And then there's a cool press, where you peel it shortly, a few seconds after it's been pressed. And then this one is actually called a cold press. And so what we want to do is we want to shake it out and let it cool down. Normally I would have my fan in here, and I would have that blow on it. A couple other things you can do while it's cooling down is just give this a little bit of pressure. You can rub these letters or numbers into the fibers, because that's pretty much all we're trying to do is get the resin, the poly, I forgot the word, but into the substrate here. And so, so we're gonna let this do its thing. We're gonna let it cool down. I'm just gonna wait patiently. And then once we're done with that, we'll do what's called a post press. So this paper that you see here, like this, when you're peeling this off, there's an art form to it. It's definitely not just, you have to really be gentle and slow and intentional with it. And that, like I said, I've learned the hard way. If you go too fast, you'll waste the paper, you'll ruin the hoodie, and that's a bummer. Nobody, especially me as a businessman, wants to do that. So you have to be really, really gentle and be intentional. You want it to be on a flat surface, so that way you can have some resistance pushing off of it. I'm trying to let it cool down a little bit longer. Patiently waiting. Okay. I think we're there. Can you see everything okay? Angle on that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to fold this over like this. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. But I'm just going to roll it and keep it as tight to the table as I possibly can. And what we're going to do is look for it to separate and leave the lettering behind. So far, so good, which is nice. Okay, I'm just going to roll it gently.
So satisfying.
That's satisfying. It's nerve-wracking for me because I don't want it to get, botched. So, here we go. Yeah, there we go. So I don't know if you can tell, but you see the lettering came off here. That's what the old sheet looks like. Okay, so now we have this nice finish, and it has kind of a shine to it. It's kind of hard to tell in this video, but there's a shine or a sheen to it. You can see the little blue heron. I chose the blue heron because I think it's a very graceful bird. And when they travel, they usually return to where they come from. I don't know if I said that right. So we're going to do a post press. We're going to turn this down to 275, and we're going to post press it for about 45 seconds. And what that's going to do is going to push the material deeper into the fibers, so that way it doesn't separate in the wash when you're washing it, or in the dryer when you're drying it. It's going to be a permanent fixture. This is one that has been done. It's a good life. That saying is tattooed on my knee. It's been tattooed on my knee since 2017 when I got my master's degree. And so that's part of the reason how it ended up on the front of all of these shirts. It's something personal to me. Do you guys have any questions? Anything?
Well, it looks like we have a buddy of mine who's actually in Iraq right now tuning in live. He's been trying to get the timing right. Aaron Greer, we see you out there. I love you, bro. Miss you, man. We've been on a lot of adventures together, but he's here seeing you press a shirt live for Penny and Benny LLC. 857 Tucson is in the house. Jeremiah Brophy says, looking good. Victoria Ward says, nailed it. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us here. And if you have any questions, we're going to be wrapping this up, but we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have before we end the show. And I have some questions for you. As far as the timing, the material, the actual, gosh, I don't even know. What do you call the thing that you put on top that has the image on it?
The transfer.
Okay, in the transfer. So you have all these different things as far as heat, timing, material, transfer papers. Are there differences in the amount of time, and is there nuance in that? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's different transfer papers for different substrates. So what I mean by substrate is like the black, so sublimation. For example, sublimation dye is a different process entirely, but with the sublimation dye, you can only do work on white t-shirts or white shirts. And so I wanted to be able to have full range of colors. And so that's why I went with this machine. It's called the Oki printer 8432. And it gives me the ability to put a logo on any color. And at the same time, it allows me to do things like koozies. I can do pieces of wood. So I can do like cardstock. I can make stationery for a wedding, things like that. This printer has a lot of versatility. I can do not stickers, but window clings. And I can also do temporary tattoos with the right paper. So yeah, there's dozens and dozens of kinds of paper that you can use. It just depends on what you want to do with it. And every single one of them definitely has different requirements as far as the time, the temperature, and the pressure. And so part of my learning experience was going through and studying all of that, because like I said before, each transfer sheet of paper is about $5. And if you spending $5 just to learn how to do it every time, it adds up pretty quickly. And so I definitely got tired of wasting money, and so I had to dig, and try to make sure that I was doing it correctly. So this one in particular that we just did is called the WTT, which stands for White Toner Transfer. It allows me to do dark materials. And then we have another one that's called the T.1. The T.1 is really good for doing other light colors. And they're what's called self-weeding. So self-weeding is when it basically only leaves the letters or the numbers instead of like a big background. And I have another one that is called the TTC 3.1, and those are really good for doing things like mouse pads and things like that. But it leaves the residue, and so if you're gonna do the TTC 3.1, you want to have something that you want to cut it out. You want to cut out the edge of the material.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Man, a lot of versatility. And it sounds like without the trial and error, which can be an expensive endeavor, what it sounds like, you press it and hope for the best while you're figuring things out. But you've done the work. I'm sure you've ruined plenty of shirts before getting to the point of where you're at today. And yeah, man, that just looks great. The fact, you just pressed it right here live was awesome. And Aaron Greer says he's definitely going to order some for the family. And Aaron Greer, man, I appreciate you joining us. Go to pennyandbenny.com, and he can ship worldwide. So if you're out there and you want something special, like I said, he's in Iraq right now. He's fighting for our country. So we love you, buddy.
Nice.
And appreciate you. We salute you. And Jeremiah Brophy. Yeah, absolutely. Jeremiah Brophy says, can't wait to snag one from pennyandbenny.com. Victoria Ward does have a question. She says, what size of orders do you work with? And we kind of touched on that, but let's go ahead and reiterate for the people.
Yeah, anything from one up to 1,000. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, it would be great for me to have large orders. Large orders, I can give you a better price. And large orders are going to keep me busy, and I want to be busy. So there's no minimum and there's no maximum. I could do anything from one tank top to 1,000 hoodies or full on sweatsuits.
Awesome. Yeah. And a lot of versatility. I didn't even realize that you could press wood and mouse pads. I saw the koozies that you did. We went to Country Thunder, and he pressed some koozies that had the layout of Country Thunder on one side of the koozie. And it turned out so good. Everybody there wanted those koozies. Like, wish we had thousands on deck to just be able to slang out, because people were asking about them all the time. And it was like Jeremiah Brophy just placed an order. So there you go.
Thanks, Brophy.
Yeah.
My guy.
Awesome.
One thing to note is the website. It's my first time building a website. And so I'm very proud of it. But at the same time, I'm still learning. And I'm still adding stuff every week, and hopefully it continues to to get better with content and with variety of things. So I'm going to finish doing this post press right here. So this is called the Teflon sheet. You want to put this on to protect it. This piece of paper here is called the T-seal. And what it does is it helps push the plastisol, which is this material, deep into the fibers. There's a good look at that blue heron, just the quality of it. It's so vivid. And it's going to be pushed into that. So that way it's going to last for years and years and years. And this one is, I had to let the temperature cool down. It's 275, which is pretty dang hot. And it's going to be for 45 seconds. I'm just going to put that down and let it do its thing. Hopefully I remember, otherwise the timer will go off. Yes, trying to think of some other stuff that I can share with you that has some good, good value.
Do you have a favorite thing to press? Like what is your niche? What do you enjoy doing most?
I think right now I definitely enjoy the hoodies. I just feel like the hoodies are such a versatile thing that can be layered, or they can be worn as an outer layer. And so, growing up in Oregon, in Portland, Oregon in particular, it was the hoodie country. So hoodies are near and dear to my heart. Being here in Tucson, Arizona, there's not a lot of need for hoodies, especially this time of the year. But I still love wearing them, and so I think, when you're working with stuff that you like, it makes it easier to do what you do. T-shirts are obviously fun. I'm going to be doing hats soon. I'm trying to get a hat press so I can make hats all the way from the flat bills to the bucket hats. This is the finished product. It's wicked warm. It feels delicious on my hand. But you can see like this is really stuck in there. It's embedded into the fibers, and this is going to last, it's going to outlast probably us, to be honest. A good quality hoodie will last you 10, 15 years. So this is the finished product. I make sure they're not crooked. I spent a little bit of time and got a system now to make sure that they're perfectly straight up and down. They're all going to be the same distance from the top to the bottom, so there's going to be some consistency, especially if you order a large volume of these. And then I have a front piece that will go on here. I'll save that for another day. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I have on the screen there Penny and Benny LLC's Instagram. It's instagram.com/Penny and Benny LLC. You can also go to pennyandbenny.com if you need any type of merchandise. And we just got a live show of him pressing a hoodie for us with Give Yourself Grace and the blue heron logo on the back. Those are super rad. I definitely will be representing. But if you need to order something or want to order something, all of the above, pennyandbenny.com or instagram.com, Penny and Benny LLC. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. That was super fun. I'm glad that we tried a new little avenue here. We dove into your office. We saw a live press happen. And we got to know you a little bit better, man. You've been through a wild journey, and I'm just blessed to have you around and in my life, and to see you creating something, essentially out of air, out of an idea, and taking things on that most people wouldn't, and continuing to do it with a smile, even though sometimes that's tough. So let's go ahead and leave the people with something. If you just have anything else that you want to say, let's have a little outro here.
Yeah. First of all, happy holiday. Thank you to all of the veterans that have served and that are serving. Obviously, it's a blessing to be able to be here in the States and to have this opportunity. So obviously we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you very much for that. Outside of that, just stay tuned. I feel like I'm in my infancy stage with this business. I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn. I'm really excited about the stuff that's going to be coming out in the next couple of months.
Nice. So everybody stay on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is People Helping People. Everybody have a good evening. Take care.